Have you ever had one of those days where everything just seems to go wrong? For Amelia, it started with a simple, almost comical mistake at the airport. She was exhausted after a red-eye flight, her mind a fog of sleep deprivation and caffeine. All she wanted was to get home, take a hot shower, and fall into bed. She spotted her plain black suitcase on the carousel, grabbed it, and wheeled it out to the taxi stand, completely oblivious to the chaos she was about to unleash. What Amelia didn't know was that her identical-looking suitcase was still making its slow journey around the baggage claim carousel. The one she had taken belonged to someone else entirely, and not just anyone. It belonged to Julian Vance, the notoriously private and ridiculously powerful CEO of Vance Innovations, a man whose picture was more likely to be on the cover of Forbes than on any social media. Meanwhile, back at the airport, Julian was tapping his expensive Italian leather shoe with growing impatience. He never checked bags, ever. It was a rule. But a last-minute gift from a business partner in Tokyo, a fragile, one-of-a-kind art piece, had forced his hand. He watched as the last few bags trickled out. A child's bright pink unicorn suitcase, a worn-out duffel bag, but his sleek black Rimowa was nowhere in sight. A cold dread, an unfamiliar feeling for a man always in control, began to creep in. That suitcase didn't just contain his clothes. It held something far more critical. The only existing prototype for a revolutionary medical device, the culmination of years of research and millions of dollars of investment. A device he was scheduled to present to the board in less than 48 hours. A device that could save millions of lives. Amelia finally got home to her cozy little apartment. She dropped her keys, kicked off her shoes, and heaved the suitcase onto her bed. As she fumbled with the zipper, she noticed it felt different, heavier. The lock was unfamiliar. A little jolt of unease went through her. "That's weird," she mumbled, fiddling with the combination dial. When it finally clicked open, her jaw dropped. Instead of her worn-out sweaters and souvenir snow globes, she was staring at perfectly folded designer men's clothing. And nestled among the silk ties and cashmere was a hard, metallic case. Curiosity overpowering her exhaustion, she opened it. Inside, gleaming under her lamp, was a futuristic-looking device, humming with a faint blue light. It looked like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. What in the world? Back at his sprawling penthouse, Julian was pacing like a caged tiger. His head of security, a stoic man named Marcus, stood by, his face grim. "We've confirmed it, sir. Your bag was taken from Carousel 4 at 7:32 a.m. We have security footage, but the woman's face is obscured by a hat." Julian ran a hand through his perfectly styled hair, messing it up for the first time in years. "Find her, Marcus. I don't care what it takes. The presentation is in 2 days. Without that prototype, the entire project is dead. The company's future, it's all in that suitcase." His voice was low, laced with a fury he rarely showed. This wasn't about the clothes. It was about his legacy. Amelia, now wide awake, was having a full-blown panic attack. She was an illustrator, a quiet soul who spent her days sketching whimsical characters. Dealing with a mysterious high-tech device belonging to a stranger was way, way above her pay grade. She imagined SWAT teams breaking down her door. She pictured herself on the nightly news. Her heart hammered against her ribs. She frantically searched the suitcase for any clue, any identification. Tucked into an inner pocket, she found a business card. Julian Vance, CEO, Vance Innovations. She Googled the name. The screen filled with articles about a tech billionaire, a genius, a recluse. Oh no, oh no, no, no. She hadn't just taken a random person's luggage. She had accidentally stolen from one of the most powerful men in the country. The next morning, Amelia, armed with a triple-shot espresso and a healthy dose of terror, called the number on the card. It went straight to a stern-sounding assistant who informed her that Mr. Vance was unavailable. Desperate, she decided her only option was to go to the Vance Innovations headquarters herself. The building was an intimidating tower of glass and steel. Taking a deep breath, she walked in, lugging the ridiculously expensive suitcase behind her, feeling completely out of place in her jeans and oversized sweater. She approached the front desk, her voice barely a whisper. "Hi, I need to see Mr. Vance. I think I have his luggage?" The receptionist gave her a look that could freeze fire. Just then, Julian was storming through the lobby, Marcus trailing behind him. He had just come from a disastrous pre-meeting where he had to admit the prototype was temporarily unavailable. His reputation was on the line. As he passed the reception desk, he overheard the word luggage. He stopped dead in his tracks. He turned and saw her. A young woman with wide, terrified eyes, clutching the handle of his suitcase like it was a life raft. For a moment, their eyes met across the cavernous marble lobby. Relief washed over him, so potent it almost buckled his knees. It was quickly followed by a wave of irritation. "You," he said, his voice sharp and commanding. "You have my suitcase." Amelia flinched. Up close, Julian Vance was even more intimidating than his photos suggested. He was tall, impeccably dressed, and radiating an aura of pure, unadulterated power. "I am so sorry," she stammered. "It was a mistake. I was tired. The bags look identical. I didn't realize until I got home, and then I found your card, and I tried to call." She was rambling, her cheeks flushing crimson. Julian cut her off, his eyes fixed on the suitcase. "Is everything inside?" he demanded, his tone leaving no room for argument. Yes, I didn't touch anything, I swear." "Well, except for the metal case, I was curious, but I put it right back." Julian's gaze softened almost imperceptibly. He took the suitcase from her, his fingers brushing against hers for a fleeting second. He opened it, checked the prototype case, and let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. It was safe. "Come with me," he said, already turning toward the private elevator. Confused and flustered, Amelia had no choice but to follow. The elevator whisked them up to the penthouse office in silence. He gestured for her to sit, while he placed the prototype on his desk with the care of a surgeon. "Thank you," he said, the words sounding foreign on his tongue. "You have no idea what you just saved." He looked at her then, truly looked at her, not as a problem to be solved, but as the person who had inadvertently held his entire world in her hands. He saw the genuine panic and remorse in her eyes. "I'm Amelia," she said softly, "and I am so incredibly sorry for the trouble." Julian offered a small, rare smile. Julian. And perhaps the trouble was worth it. He had his prototype back, but as he looked at the flustered, earnest illustrator sitting opposite him, he had a strange feeling that this unexpected mix-up had brought something else into his life, something he hadn't even known was missing. This was just the beginning of their story. Thank you so much for watching. What do you think will happen next between Amelia and Julian? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more. See you in the next video.